very short history lesson, where it comes from, what it's all about. So late 1980s, a pioneer, really famous bartender called Dick Bradshaw, tragically no longer with us. He was working at a bar in Soho called Fred's Club. A young supermodel starlet of the time, very, very drunk, very late at night, asked for a drink that would wake her up, and the rest is quite blue, I won't finish it. Wake her up and bleep her up. It was the story. That's it might be embellished, might be a bit of a sort of like bartending folk story. Either way, that's how the story goes. So he, on the fly, came up with a drink with vodka, fresh coffee. At the time, he would have used hot coffee because it was, on the fly, just kind of inventing a drink on the go. But much better with cold brew coffee. You can control the dilution much better. This actually is the OG coffee liqueur which he used, called Borghetti. This is a very sort of rich, less sweet coffee liqueur. It tastes much more like coffee, less like sugar, like your Kahlua or your Tia Maria. So it's great that we've got this. So this is like the OG stuff that we use. We're going to be using Black Cow vodka today. So this one is a shaken drink. The reason being, when you shake a drink, you want to dilute and aerate it more. If you're stirring something, you deliberately want to dilute it less and aerate it not at all. But this one, coffee foams up really nice. You want a nice like thick head on it. If you see espresso martini, it's looks like a Guinness kind of served in a coupe glass. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna make one. So what we're gonna do is go with our cheap, in order of least to most expensive ingredients. Reason being, if we make a mistake, it's the less expensive mistake. So we are going to go in first with simple syrup, just 1:1 sugar and water. Yeah, 10 ml of this one. This measure is 25 and 50, little and big. So yeah, just shy of the halfway mark would be 10 ml. Sugar syrup in there, and then we're going in next with the coffee. It's going to be 40 ml of this one. So yeah, just shy of full, 40 ml. And then next with the Borghetti coffee liqueur. This one's going to be 15 ml. Black Cow vodka, a full 25 ml. It's good practice to loading up your shaker with ice to be the very final thing that you do, so you have the most control over dilution. If you load up the ice first and then pour your ingredients, the ice is going to start to melt. We want to dilute it and get that ice to mix with the drink and dilute it. We want to have absolute 100% control over how much that happens. And the best way to do that is to make it the final thing that you do. And we want as much ice as possible, so the most ice in there, lower the ambient temperature, again more control. If you have a little bit of ice in there and shake it, then that ice will melt very quickly. You can always shake it longer or harder to make it melt more, but you can't. It's much easier to over dilute than it is to under dilute. So we'll load up our ice there. Combine one with the other. So this is called a Boston shaker, so tin on tin. So that metal's going to like contract when it gets nice and cold and give you a nice tight seal, so it's not going to explode and make a mess everywhere. You give it a nice firm tap just to seal it, and then when you're shaking, you don't want to shake up and down or side to side. It's forwards and backwards, like a nice lateral shake. The reason being, you get the most movement of air to whip air into that coffee, give it a nice thick foam and a really nice creamy texture. If you're going like that or like this, that just won't happen, and you end up with quite a thin drink. And another thing you can do if you want to is do like a figure of 8 shake, so up, back, down, and you get a nice rhythm going like that. So very hard, really give it the beans, bottom of the pan, and then we're going to give this one a double strain with a Hawthorne and a fine strainer, because we've shaken it, it's created some ice crystals. Because we're not drinking it over ice, you're going to notice those ice crystals, you're going to see them and taste them. We don't want that, so we want to get rid of those. If this was a drink that was either stirred or being served over ice, that wouldn't be necessary because there'd be no ice crystals, and if there were, you wouldn't be able to taste them because you've been drinking them through a straw over ice. Every last drop in there. So because it is quite a foamy one, what I quite like to do is just use the bottom of the Hawthorne to push the last few little bits in there that have become trapped. Get rid of that, put that in the sink. And the final step will be a garnish. Be 3 beans. And one of the reasons for the 3 beans is one for health, wealth and happiness. It's a traditional way to drink sambuca in Italy, is to have a shot with 3 beans in the bottom. It's called a con la mosca, which means with the fly. It's meant to symbolise wealth, prosperity and good luck. And yeah, that's the espresso martini. That's how you make it.